Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Hello, Adnan. Thanks for that. No. Yeah, welcome to the 100th episode of the Falcoholic Live, the 100th episode spectacular. I am your host, Kevin Knight, joined by my longtime co-host, Eric Robinson. Also with us tonight, Adnan Ikic and Evan Birchfield, here to, of course, celebrate 100 episodes, which is just a cool milestone for any podcast, any video show, anything at all. It's just a neat milestone, so we'll be getting into that. And, of course, plenty of combine talk, plenty of free agency talk, plenty of draft takes. We'll get into a lot of that, so don't you worry. It's not going to be all libations this evening. We'll have plenty of time for real analysis because you know us. We just, at a certain point, it's just going to devolve into either dirt cutter bashing or some sort of draft related, we can't just stay off topic for too long.
The whole day without thinking of him.
Yeah. You knew, well, yeah. I mean, you knew it wasn't going to last tonight, right? Like I was going to bring up dirt cutter the second you came on the air.
I'm depressed when I hear the name.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Get some.
Are we talking about future Falcons head coach Dirk Cutter?
Oh, man.
I would change teams, dude. I would change teams in a heartbeat.
XFL, baby.
Fired this year. Dirk Cutter.
Man. That's what this team needs. We've been begging for that offensive head coach, right? We've been begging for
it. He'll bring Todd Monken as his OC, and we'll sign Jameis.
Oh, man. There we go. 30 for 30.
And he won't even let Monken call the plays.
Okay, well, don't get me started on the Dirk Cutter thing. That's got to be like halfway through the show before we launch into that one again. But welcome to everyone joining us tonight. Solaire says he's just him with a different picture. That remains to be seen. But also joining us, Don Emery, Devin Siege, Kojak, Tyler Raines. I mean, all you guys. I'm pretty sure every single one of you has been here since like episode 1, so we really do appreciate everyone who's stuck with us this long. All of our new fans, everyone who's joined along the way. It's just it's really cool to be able to do this show and to have you guys enjoy it. And it's a nice way for us to vent our frustrations at the team. And we could say nice things about the team when they do nice things too. But there hasn't been a lot of that lately. But if that ever were to happen, that would be fun. But yeah, so let's jump right in. Obviously, the big news. I don't know. What do you guys want to do? You want to talk about free agency stuff? We started seeing some trades. You guys want to start off with some combine stuff? What are you guys itching to talk about?
It doesn't matter.
John Wetzel.
John Wetzel. There you go. Evan, I'm going to go to you, our John Wetzel commentator.
Yeah. So less than 48 hours ago, I did the article on John Wetzel being released, and I even said it in the article that he'd probably be back, and he is back. So that is the news.
I feel bad for that guy.
Yeah. He just like...
I looked on, I don't know how accurate it is, but Pro Football Reference is a good site for like a lot of, stats and stuff, but they also have where you can look at transactions, and I don't know how accurate the dates are, but it shows... from 2019 to today, they've gotten rid of him and brought him back like 6 times.
Yeah, I believe somebody said it might have been as high as 11 times.
Yeah, this is a lesson to all of you aspiring NFL players. There's a lot more John Wetzels than Tom Brady's.
Yep. But at least John Wetzel keeps getting calls back. Like, I feel like he just never unpacks his bag at this point. He's just like, all right, John, like roll in your suitcase, and he keeps it all in the suitcase.
Usually when a transaction is made like that, it's usually because they're clearing room to bring on another player. But they literally they let him go like, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday?
Yeah,
and they didn't do anything in between. It wasn't like
Monday, I think.
It wasn't like they added another player or they did it to save cap space or anything like. They let him go, and 2 days later, they literally bought him back.
I can imagine Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitrov just bored in the office, and they're like, hey, let's do this thing.
The fans have been demanding cuts. It's time to start.
Hey, you think Russell had the moving company like in the driveway, taking the stuff out of the house? And really, Dan?
I think he may have learned his lesson. He was like, I'll give it a week this time.
Yeah.
Guys,
Yeah. Probably
guys,
just
put the
laugh.
stuff back. They want me back. Put the stuff back. Stuff back.
Man, it's I mean, it's got to be tough for the guy. I mean, he's not able to get on the field, but like apparently they like him enough to keep him around and keep bringing him back.
He
So
doesn't even dress.
no, so
They
it's-
had to, but like in seriousness, they had to do something with what his contract. Like, I don't know what they were paying him, but what would cause them to get rid of him and then not even 2 days later
I
bring
mean,
him back?
that sounds like a restructure or something like that. Or
yeah,
just
I mean, it could
But
be
was
that.
he making even a lot? Like, what was he
No.
making to begin with? He
I'd be
had to have
vet-
been like
I'd
on
be
a,
vet minimum, right?
Yeah, I mean, I it's probably that he was making more than vet minimum, and they were like, "Are you willing to take vet minimum?" And he was like, "Okay." And then so now he's making actually vet minimum, but I don't know. I mean,
Why would you give someone more than vet minimum and he doesn't even dress?
Dan Quinn went to an astrologist and asked what we should pay John Wetzel.
wow, Dan Quinn, you mastermind. Yeah, I'm gonna
That's
look
how
up
we make our moves nowadays.
John Wetzel here, see what he was
He
making.
doesn't even dress. You know what? In half the season, he was on the practice squad, and you're paying him above vet minimum for that?
I mean, they were paying him $720,000.
What?
And that's a nice chunk of change.
To not even put on a uniform?
I
Yeah,
don't feel bad for
but
him.
he only actually took home like, well, no, he took home almost 72,000 or 720,000 over the course of the season. But that's probably pretty close to the veteran minimum.
No, the vet is like 4 something, isn't it?
Yeah, but this is his like 6th season or something. So it's not
But what was his salary for last season? Was it 700?
720,000 was what we made in 2019, 630,000 2018, 540,000 2017. So that my guess is that was vet minimum or close to it. But
This guy has gotten. God.
Didn't we cut Matt Bryant to save like $1 million?
This
yeah,
guy has gotten over $1.5 million over the last 3 seasons. And how many games he's played in?
well,
he played 2, or he was suited up, I think, for 2 this year.
still get that
For
get
us,
that check
but-
though.
That's a lot of money for a guy that doesn't even put the damn uniform on. Wow, that's crazy.
Hey,
Hey,
like
Kevin,
yeah,
hey, Kevin,
yeah.
did you think when you were making this show that we'd be leading our 100th episode with John Wetzel talk?
I always kind of hoped. I held out hope for John Wetzel coming back. I thought that would be a great lead-off
That would be the
story.
title of this show.
Yeah. I didn't want us to, go straight into something exciting. I wanted the
Right.
people to whet their appetites with some John Wetzel nuggets
No
here.
one would come if they knew beforehand, like, hey, they're going to lead off with John Wetzel.
Yeah, so we got to get that out of the way early, because it seems like, there's a good percentage of people that tune in after, like, the first 10 minutes. So now they know we were going to, like, talk about some, news hit that was, quote-unquote newsworthy, because that's what we do on this show. We #report, okay? But, yeah, we can move on from the John Wetzel talk now. I'm
We
sure.
asked the tough questions.
Yeah, we do. I mean, this is #journalism here, okay? So, trying to find out the cap implications of John Wetzel's veteran minimum contract on the top 51 of the Falcons. I mean, it's what we do here. That's our game. But mercifully, we will end this now and move on to some other talk. It's been several weeks since we've been on last, so since then, we have officially gotten word that the Falcons are going to let several players test free agency. Obviously, we'll lead off with Hooper, but there's some other ones as well. We talked about Hooper, the potential of him walking on the last show a lot, but how do you guys feel now that it's basically they've said that he's going to be walking out the door?
I'm a little discouraged because Hooper was important parts of the offense, and he's improved throughout his entire time in Atlanta. And it's weird because over the past few seasons they've been stressing continuity. They've been stressing that, and then when it comes to having a guy back on board because he's been a part of his offense for 4 years and you let him go, I don't understand. I don't get, and it's been like this for. I really haven't felt this way in a long time about this front office, but I have no idea what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
I really don't, because you let Hooper go, who's been productive, but you hang on to Beasley, You're paying on the Freeman. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's like if you knew you didn't have enough money to pay him and you didn't really have any intention of re-signing him, then you should have taken what was allegedly a second-round pick for Hooper. Like, there's no reason not to, because now what we're hearing fans say is like, oh well, they should take Hooper's money and spend it on a defensive free agent instead. And like, I can see the argument for that, but like if you do that, it cancels out the comp pick. So if you were never going to bring back Freeman in the first place, you should have traded him for a day 2 pick, which apparently was on the table for multiple teams. Instead, you keep him, and you're like, well, maybe we can get a comp pick. But like, if you're going to use his money and then go out and sign another high-priced free agent, like those two things cancel out. Like you lose the pick. So to me, I mean, the obvious answer is they kept Hooper to save their jobs. Like that is the obvious reason that they didn't trade Hooper. I know they're gonna spin some BS about the locker room needed him and all this. Like that's a bunch of BS. Do not believe a word they're saying about locker room crap. Because guess what? The locker room's gonna suck when you're 1-7 at the halfway point of the season. Okay, there's no amount of locker room help that can be gleaned by not trading a player when you're 1-7. Okay, like
also if they wanted to, help the locker room, why did they trade Mohamed Sanu?
Right,
like it's
he's a bum. Okay,
so contradictory. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't have traded Mohamed Sanu. That was just a steal.
That was a good deal. Yeah,
getting a second rounder for Sanu was an absolute steal. And hindsight being 2020, they should have traded Austin Hooper for what was on the table. I guess there have never been any super solid reports, but I'm guessing probably a second rounder, third rounder maybe. Devontae Freeman, you should have just like traded.
Oh yeah,
just
doesn't matter what the pick was for Freeman. Exactly. Yeah.
But it's like this is what the danger was of where the Falcons were. This was Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitroff trying to save their job, and that's where I think it was botched by Arthur Blank. Where you're at 1-7, you're around the trade deadline, and the trade deadline actually probably happened. Did it happen before the bye week? I'm drawing a blank right now.
I think it's after the bye week slightly, because they had I think it was slightly after the bye week, but not much.
But either way, if you're in that situation, you either fire Quinn and Dimitroff, or you make it known to them that they'll be back next year, or at least this is how I would have done it. So then they can make those trades, make those moves, looking toward the future as opposed to just looking to save just this season.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're just left with possibly a comp pick at best, still paying Devontae Freeman his dead money after you possibly cut him this offseason. Maybe not even getting the comp pick if you spend that money from Hooper for a defensive free agent.
And also could have had maybe some extra cash for, not giving Vic his 5th-year option. They could have avoided all of this, to be quite honest with you.
Don't get me started on that one. Okay.
Oh yeah, that one. The reports that they were just trying to appease Grady Jarrett's agent. If that's true, they should have been fired.
That was terrible
that day.
I feel like if that was true, they would have been fired. Like I don't think Arthur Blank could let that stand. But
that is an awful reason.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's really frustrating. It's really frustrating for me. Evan, I know we've been like totally talking over you. Did you have anything you wanted to add about Hooper's situation here?
No, I mean, it sucks, but when you lose somebody who's I think we saw this year, he had 75 catches, and I believe 2 of them were drops, and he had one of the better drop rates among tight ends, I think like top 2. It's it's a loss, and it's something you're probably not going to recover from right away, but it is going to free up more opportunity for like Calvin Ridley to get more targets. And who knows what they're really going to do at tight end. I mean, I would love like if they went a more veteran route, because clearly what's the point of developing somebody like Austin Hooper? Like that's the whole point of drafting a tight end like that. You groom them into being a top 5 tight end, which he was this year, and now he's gone, and he's probably going to benefit like Aaron Rodgers, and good for him. Go, get your money and stuff. It's nothing against him. It's just, I hate it, but I don't think it's the end of the world just because of the targets we still have. I'm just not on the let's go get another young tight end to groom so we can, see what happens.
Let him walk
there.
again.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like if
Here's the thing about this tight end free agency class. It's either you roll the dice on a guy like Tyler Eifert, who has a terrible injury history, or you bring in a guy like Hunter Henry, who I think his market value is like.
It sounds like he might get tagged.
It's like, but Henry's market value is like $2 million less than Hooper. So if you bring in a guy like Henry, why let Hooper go? Like that's like you're if they were to go the veteran route, whatever move that they make, honestly, in hindsight, would make no sense because wow. You're either going to pay money for a tight end that you could have just paid the guy that was already here, or you're going to throw money at a guy who's, injury prone or a veteran that's not even in the mold of Austin Hooper, or it's not going to make much sense to me. Whatever.
Well, and like Kevin and y'all were talking about, they did just try and save their ass, and it basically worked out for them instead of trading him for something, and now he's out the door. And now they get to worry about it, but it's already too late. And you look at how they paid Vic, what was it, $11 million last year? Almost
12.8.
12.
Yeah.
So, possibly what Hooper would get paid. And it's like Hooper actually deserves his money, but he's gone. They, it's stupid, but I mean, I don't like to attack the organization, but it's what you expect them to do. Like, it's just a stupid move, and not the first and definitely won't be the last thing they do, but they wanted to save their ass, and you can look at the other players they didn't trade away, and it worked for them. So I mean,
yeah, it worked for Quinn and Dimitrov, clearly. Yeah, exactly. So to me, like, the fact that I mean, really the person to blame here is Arthur Blank, because he put them in a situation where they had to decide between doing the right thing for the team and getting fired for it, which would have been trading away all these players to build draft capital and probably losing, a majority of the final games. I mean, I honestly don't know how much of a difference it would have made with Hooper and Freeman. I mean, I'm sure they helped. I mean, there's no way that they didn't help win those final games. But, Hooper ended up missing a bunch with injury. They couldn't have predicted that. But, so Blank put them in a situation where they had to choose between doing the right thing for the team and trading these guys and likely losing their jobs, or doing the wrong thing for the team, trading these guys, or doing the wrong thing for the team, keeping these guys and winning a few more meaningless games, and keeping their jobs. So it's really, like, when you put people in a situation like that, like, what do you expect them to do? Like, they're gonna save their own jobs, because that's what people do. Like, as much as we like to put people up and say, oh, well, they're going to do the right thing. Like, most of the time people aren't going to do the right thing unless it benefits them. And that's kind of maybe a pessimistic view. But I mean, this is the NFL. Okay. This ain't a morality contest. Like,
yeah. And for that, you can't really blame Quinn or Dimitrov for going the route they went. Like you said, they were just trying to save their jobs. I think it does fall on Arthur Blank more than anything.
Yeah. But that's rough. And then, we look at, like you said, the tight end free agent class, pretty unspectacular. I don't think there's a solution there except for Austin Hooper.
And for the record, Tyler Eifert has more injuries than he does games played in his NFL career.
Yes. Like,
I know he had that one blow-up season in Cincinnati where he caught, I think, 12 touchdown passes. Yeah. I had him on my fantasy team that year. It was spectacular. It was great, but I think he's played like less than 4 games other than this past season where it was still like injury prone. I don't think he's played more than in like 3 or 4 games in a season since that big year in Cincinnati.
So that's
and with Hunter Henry too, like, you don't know how the tight end market could possibly even blow up to the point where maybe we can't even afford Hunter Henry.
Yeah, no, Hunter Henry is allegedly going to get tagged. That's what the latest bug was. So
he may get tagged, but I think Eric Ebron is a free agent also.
He is. Yep.
I think Eric Ebron's market value is close to Hooper. It may be $1 million less or something like that. So even if they were to go that route again, you kind of will have to circle back around. Like, okay, you're going to give this money to Ebron. Why couldn't you give this money to Hooper? Like,
yeah. that's I guess the point where we're arriving, which is they're not gonna sign Hunter Henry or Eric Ebron. Like if they're not signing Austin Hooper, they're either like bargain diving for a tight end, like Levine Toilolo's available, I've heard.
Ooh. We can bring the band back together.
Yes. So like it's gonna be someone like that, or like undrafted players.
I'd rather just draft one because this is a good pool of tight ends this year. I'd rather just draft one, even though, like Evan said, it almost feels like they're going to draft one only to let him walk in 4 years.
I mean, is the tight end class good though?
It is. It's good. It's not top heavy, but it's good.
I mean, there's like some solid guys in the middle rounds, but like, are they really gonna? I mean, what are we gonna expect from like a 5th round tight end?
No, I think we can expect one earlier than that.
But what about all these other positions of need?
I like Hooper. Don't get me wrong. I like Hooper. But let's not sit here and act like Hooper is just this all-pro elite tight end that you can't replace. And in reality, he's replaceable. Although I'd rather the team keep him with this tight end class, I think he's replaceable. I think you can find a guy that can actually come in and develop and be just as good as Hooper.
Right. Yeah. I mean, eventually.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it's a good enough class. It's not top heavy. There's no surefire first rounders in this year's tight end class. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But I think they can get a guy if they wanted to. I think they can get a guy like Adam Troutman or Harrison Bryant that can come in and actually, fill that role eventually. Probably not the rookie year, but eventually they'll be something. They'll be a weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with you. It's not like we lost Travis Kelce or George Kittle. Like no disrespect to Austin Hooper, but those guys are just on a different level when the position is concerned.
Yeah.
The issue is like even if you go the draft route, Matt Ryan and Julio's window is just waning at this point. It takes a couple of years, especially at the tight end position, to develop. And next year you're going into it with, if you don't sign a free agent, a rookie tight end and Jaden Graham on your roster. Oh, and Luke Stalker, of course.
Yeah,
Luke
Stalker. If
making some money.
Yeah, if Hooper doesn't get re-signed, Luke Stalker's not going anywhere. So it's gonna. I mean, honestly, I think that's what it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be Jaden Graham and Luke Stalker and probably an undrafted player, or like a cheap free agent.
Undrafted player.
Undrafted or a cheap free agent. That's what I think. That's honestly what we're looking at, because I mean, maybe they would draft a day. But like if they draft a tight end on day 2 at this point, like that means they're saying no to a defensive tackle, a linebacker, a corner, a center, like something. Like there's not that many day 2 picks.
Tight end is more of a need than linebacker, in my opinion, at this point.
I mean, I think honestly, well, I mean, I think if Hooper walks, then you could definitely make the argument that tight end's a bigger hole on the roster. But like, I guess what I would say is that a rookie tight end is not going to give us meaningful production this year. Like none of these guys I think are going to give us production that like is going to be anything overly special. Like we're not going to get anything close to Hooper from a rookie tight end unless we just strike gold. Like
I will say though, you can kind of cushion that blow with Calvin Ridley making another big step in year 3 and Julio Jones staying Julio Jones, like
running the ball efficiently.
Well, we have Dirk Cutter, so that's
in theory, though. I get what Eric is saying. Yes, like that would be, Sorry to trigger you about that.
Yeah.
But
jokes aside, no, that is correct.
Yeah,
running the ball, having Ridley especially stepping up, and he has been. He looks like he's going the right way. Had he not gotten injured last year, he would have gotten over 1,000 yards. But he missed the last quarter of the season. He was looking really good. He's been a touchdown machine his first 2 years. So it's not like the Falcons are lacking on offense. It's not like losing Hooper is like a make or break thing. It's just we're sitting here from the position of it's never a good thing to let your Pro Bowl tight end, whom you drafted and developed, walk after his rookie contract.
Yeah, I mean that's basically where we're standing. And honestly, in my opinion, I think if they want to replicate Hooper's production, it's going to be with a wide receiver, not a tight end. I mean, maybe Jaden Graham can be something. I think their best chance for having a productive tight end is probably Jaden Graham, because he was intriguing. He was great in the preseason. I mean, he came in and made. I mean, his yards per catch was like what, 18 yards, 20 yards this season. I mean, he caught like 4 balls. They were all nice, but like that's a lot to ask from Jaden Graham. But that's probably the most realistic scenario at this point, is that he's the productive tight end, not some outside guy.
And I really like Jaden Graham. Like, he did just win a tight end competition for the Falcons last year in the preseason, which he was not expected to like win at all, and wasn't really like favored to do so. He has like gone through some of that pressure to produce it. Granted, it's not on the level of producing the regular season, but I mean, I like Jaden Graham. I like that he's on the roster, and I think he can be very productive for the team.
He ended up getting Saubert traded.
Yeah.
Saubert.
Yep.
And he probably didn't have a real chance, but that Alex Gray kid who was on the international thing, like he just disappeared.
Yeah. But he outplayed him in preseason.
He did, absolutely.
Yeah. I think he hurdled the dude, and that's
he did.
I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were doing an interview in the middle of it and didn't even like really show the play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, typical preseason, but yeah.
But one thing I want to mention too is, like a team like, there's some heavy teams like the Buccaneers where they have all these tight ends. Like if for some reason Cameron Brate got released, I don't know what his contract would be like, but like somebody like that who obviously what you're getting from them, but they're not the biggest name in the world. But that's, I think, the one thing that you lose when you lose Hooper, and you saw it this past year. I mean, 2 drops from 75 catches, like that's so such a reliable thing to have. And when you lose that, I mean, Russell Gage may be able to step up more. I'm sure they're banking on him playing a bigger part, but I don't know. I guess we'll just see what their plan is going forward. I do like you do notice a coincidence where Ben Steele, who came over with Cutter, had like the tight ends in Tampa, as I mentioned, OJ Howard and Great were doing great, and then Howard was like non-existent this year, and we have Ben Steele now, and then he comes over, and Mike Malarkey retired or whatever. I'm not saying he didn't have a part to play in it, but I'm just looking at the coincidence there. It'd be a big coincidence that he comes over and Hooper all of a sudden has like his best season as a Falcon. So it's like, maybe this dude's like a tight end whisperer or something.
Tight end whisperer, yeah.
Yeah, and maybe that's why Jaden Graham will be good. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
I mean, that would be the only. It still doesn't explain why they didn't trade Hooper, but
I think we can literally say that is because if your ass is on the line, you're not going to want to get rid of one of the people who can save your job. Like it's a very selfish thing to do, but at the same time, I can't really fault them for it because they didn't want to get fired, and
right.
That'd be like, I just don't see how. If they traded him and then got fired, it's like that would have been a good service to the team, whereas instead they decided to keep him and let him walk to save their ass, and that's, like I said, it worked out for him. But in hindsight, it's like, well, that was stupid.
Yeah.
In fairness, keeping everyone, that did help us get a lower draft pick this year. So that
shout
there
out.
We go.
Yeah. Shout out to that 16th pick. But yeah, I mean, I guess to me, like where I'm at right now is, I would rather have one of these receivers in the draft on day 2 than going after someone like Troutman. Like I like Troutman. I think he's got potential, but this wide receiver class is so good. Like I think if they're really trying to replicate that receiving production, not necessarily tight end production, the best route is to go and try to do it with a receiver, not a rookie tight end. That's my personal stance. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but
I don't think they're going to go that route, and I think part of the reason is because of, well, I don't trust them to go that route because of their Cutter. Like
right.
Me personally, I feel like if they were to take a receiver on late day 2, maybe early day 3, I think it's a waste of a draft pick because you have a play caller who doesn't show any creativity, who doesn't air the ball out the way that he should, the way that he did in Tampa Bay. He didn't do it this year. I don't see the point. Why stockpile weapons like that when he's yet to show us that he's capable of doing anything as a play caller? I mean, it's one thing to add a tight end to fill Hooper's shoes, but to get a guy to draft a receiver on day 2 and then add him to the mix at the receiver core, like I feel like it's going to be. He's probably going to have a lackluster rookie year because, again, we don't have a play caller that can open up the playbook.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and, like, to me, like, that's why I'm targeting guys like I'm looking at, instead of getting a tight end, going after, like, a big slot. Like obviously, like, people are all about Chase Claypool right now, and I think that's probably a little over. I mean, his combine was, like, the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life, but his tape isn't that good, so, like, we should calm down on that. But like Michael Pittman, I like him a lot. Like as a big slot, like maybe you can use that in an ideal world to do that. But I agree with you that with Dirk Cutter at the helm, I mean, all bets are off. So
I would like it, but not if Dirk Cutter was in place, because I don't trust Dirk Cutter's going to use him properly.
Right, but the other thing is we realize that this regime is probably doomed in 2020. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I feel pretty confident that. I mean, obviously, I felt pretty confident they were going to get fired. That was, I believe, still the right prediction. It didn't work out, but I think that was still the right prediction. My new prediction is that they will be fired this year. So we could get this weapon for the next head coach who could then take advantage of them, even if it doesn't work out in 2020.
I believe they can make the playoffs, and if they do make the playoffs, I think it's going to be because of the elevated responsibility for Raheem Morris and Jeff Ulbrich turning that defense around and making this defense playoff caliber.
Yeah.
I don't trust Dirk Cutter. I don't like certain aspects of the offense right now. I don't foresee them actually doing much in free agency to improve this offense the way it should. I think, like I said, if they make the playoffs, it's probably going to be because Raheem Morris coached his ass off and elevated this defense to a winnable unit.
Yeah.
But then you also have to take into account the fact that we could be going to a 17-game schedule, so we could go 8-9 this year instead of 7-9.
Hey.
And then Arthur Blank will see the improvement, and he'll keep coaching.
We're gonna sneak into that new 7th playoff spot. Hell yeah!
Which I think I saw we would have made it in 2015 or something.
Yeah, the year we started off 5-0 and like finished 8-8.
Yeah.
But we ended the season on a good note, beating the Panthers
in Jacksonville.
Yeah, and beating Jacksonville. So I mean, who knows?
We could have gone on a run, you guys. No, but
no, well, we wouldn't have.
We wouldn't have. But yeah, I mean, it's true. Like it. Yeah,
But
it's a difficult
also at the
spot.
same time, in fairness, in seriousness, you could like strike gold in the draft this year, like we did in 2016, the way the Saints did in 2017, and that can completely turn around an entire season.
Oh yeah, it can turn around a franchise. I mean, it can. Like it's possible. Like it's within the range of outcomes that this team goes on a tear and. You know, the offensive line is protecting at a high level. Like, it was really the missing piece was just having Lindstrom healthy and McGarry has a whole camp under his belt and everyone's firing on all cylinders and Jamon Brown's all of a sudden playing good at left guard. Like,
I don't think people actually realize how close we were to actually being like 9-7 or 10-6 last year.
Yeah. I mean, a play here and there. Yeah.
A play here. A healthy Matt Ryan would have beat Seattle. You know, and
Matt Schaub almost did.
Matt Schaub almost did it, exactly. And a healthy Matt Ryan could have beat Seattle. And yeah, a couple plays here and there, they could have been a playoff team this year. But I don't want to focus on that. But at the same time, it's like they were so as ugly as the season started. They were so close to actually being a playoff team, closer than we thought they were.
Right.
Yeah, and not just this season. Last season too, when we went 7-9. You came one play away from beating the Eagles in the season opener. You came one play away from beating the Bengals, one play away from beating the Saints.
Matt Bryan hits a field goal against the Cardinals, they will win that one. That's a 9-7 season.
Yeah. I was looking at the season before this past season. So the first 7-9 season. I love how we're looking at the 7-9
Yes.
season. There's been so many of them. We have to distinguish the 7-9 seasons at this point.
What are you talking about, Adnan?
But yeah, this team has had some very, very bad fortune these past 2 years. It feels like the piper has been being paid from 2016 when everything just broke right in 2016. The
Except
offensive
the end,
line was
yeah.
completely healthy, and then he just like came for his payment in the third quarter of the Super Bowl,
Yep.
and then like it's been downhill ever since then.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that, but moving on. No, I did want to briefly touch on Devondre Campbell because that was the other player that was basically announced that they were going to let him go to free agency. So, what do you guys think about?
Schweitzer.
And Schweitzer, but we got John Wetzel, so we're good. Yeah,
That's true.
yeah, but with Campbell walking, how big of a deal is it for the Falcons to get a new linebacker now, or are you confident in Oluokun being the other starter? Do you think they need like a day 2 pick? Like where are we at right now with linebacker?
Oh, not all at once now, Phil.
I don't. Honestly, if there was one player that they're going to let walk, I wouldn't mind Devondre being the one walking. His numbers say one thing, but the film and the tape and the game says something different. Yeah, he led the team in tackles for like the last 2 years, I believe, right?
So did Paul Orlo.
Yeah.
But some of them were. He might have led the team in tackles, but if you looked at his work in coverage, he was not good the past 2 years.
It was not good.
It was dreadful. I don't mind him walking. As far as Oluokun, I don't know if Oluokun can fulfill that role. I don't think that role. I think he's a little undersized to be a strong side linebacker.
He's not gonna play strong side. Yeah,
but rumors have been circulating that he's going to fulfill that Devondre Campbell role, and I'm not certain they're going to do that.
No, but he's probably going to be the number 2 line. He's going to be the Will or whatever to Devondre's Mike.
The Will, yeah, that's fine. But they're going to have to fill that strong side linebacker hole in somewhere. In free agency, there's really not anything to write about when it comes to there. But there's a couple guys in the draft. There's one in particular, Josh Uche out of Michigan, who I think would be a perfect strong side linebacker in this scheme. But again, I'm just a guy that writes for the Falcoholic.
That's why they're here. Okay, they're here for the takes. But yeah, I mean, this is where they're at. Like basically the Falcons have, Deion Jones, Foye Oluokun, and a bunch of guys.
That's no depth whatsoever.
Like, let's see, Jamal Carter, who's a safety masquerading as a linebacker. Ahmad Thomas, who's also a safety masquerading as a linebacker. That might honestly be it. There might be. That's it. Yeah.
I think it's almost certain that they're going to bring in a linebacker this offseason. It's just a matter of when.
I mean, probably in free agency.
We're
at
going to
least
trade up for Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah.
Isn't it wild though how quickly I remember during preseason, everyone, including myself, was all in on Jermaine Grace. Like I thought, like he was going to be the next.
Yeah.
Big
What the heck happened
us.
with him? Like
I don't know. I was looking because I was like, I wonder. I don't know how the people listening how much stock they put into PFF grades, but Boy graded as our second best linebacker last season, which honestly he had no competition because as you mentioned there was no linebackers, but Grace, it was like he had a great preseason and then that was it. I think he played bizarre. 5 games or something and then was gone.
Yeah. Hey, we could go after Darren Lee in free agency. The guy that everyone thought
rumored to draft him that one time.
Yeah,
we were high on him at one point.
The guy that everybody thought would be better than Deion Jones. Big rip there. Yeah.
He was a first rounder in the Neal draft.
I still think they can slide Deion to Will.
Well, I don't think in this scheme. I don't think it honestly matters who's playing which one. It's basically the same. Like Deion can play Will. Foye can play Will. I don't think it overly matters in this scheme. I think they're kind of interchangeable. But I see what you're saying. Like I think those two guys can play those nickel linebacker roles. But the thing that they don't have is a bigger linebacker. So that's where we're. I mean, you can find a thumper in free agency for like $1 million. Like that's not hard. If they want to get a base down thumper, they can find one. I mean, there's guys like Kevin Minter's out there, Preston Brown or whatever. Like there's plenty of like Jatavis Brown's out there as well. Like you can get a thumper in free agency, but like I think their linebackers, they want them to be more than just thumpers. Like they want them to be the Deion Jones-esque, can cover, can do whatever. They don't want them to be limited. So that's where I think we're gonna, run into the situation where they kind of need to draft someone. And this, I think, the strength of this linebacker class is that day 2 to day 3 range. And this can be a nice seg, into some combine talk. But you guys, if you follow my mock drafts and all, I really like Jordan Brooks from Texas Tech. Insanely productive, quick, good player. And there's a lot of those, like, there's some of those hybrid guys, like a Kyle Duggar or a Jeremy Chin, that can play safety, play linebacker. I think that could be something they're interested in. I don't know if you guys have any takes on those guys from the combine or otherwise, but
those guys are going to be gone by day 3.
Well, yeah, I mean, if they want Duggar or Chin, it would be on day 2, and Brooks too. Yeah.
Tanner Muse is the name to keep an eye on out of Clemson, who can play that safety linebacker hybrid that Kamal Ishmael played. And he had a pretty good combine workout, better than I thought he would. I think didn't he run like 4.4 or something?
He ran fast, yeah.
4.41.
Yeah.
Wow, I did not expect that from Tanner Muse. But yeah, he would be perfect for that. Like I said, that hybrid safety linebacker role in this defense. But yeah, like you said, they're still going to, at the end of the day, they're still going to need a strong side. They're still going to need a Sam. And like I said, I think they're going to have to address the linebackers sometime this offseason, because not only are they getting ready to not have a starting Sam linebacker, but they, like you mentioned, they have no depth whatsoever.
Yeah.
There's nothing back there.
Yeah. That to me is why they're probably going to sign someone and draft someone. A guy that I like as a potential Sam would be like Ohio State's Malik Harrison. He's a bigger linebacker. He tested really well too, but that, again, day 2. Yeah.
Good strong side guy. Yeah.
But he's athletic enough to cover too. Like he actually impressed me with his workout. Everyone brings up Troy Dye. He's so lanky.
Troy's a will.
Yeah. Because he's tall, I think people like him as a strong side. But yeah,
Troy's a will.
Yeah, he weighs 225 pounds at 6'4". That dude is like a thin rail. He's like a wide receiver at that weight. But trying to think of other guys people like. Akeem Davis Gaither. I know they found that stress fracture in his foot when he went to the combine, so that could, yeah. He's also not Sam, but they're probably going to sign someone bigger, like a thumper, to play that Sam role, and they're probably going to draft another like athletic linebacker. That would honestly be my guess. Yeah. Because I think you can get linebackers cheap. I mean, who was it from like a year ago, 2 years ago, that we signed in free agency at linebacker, and he was like just, kind of solid, but he was like just some. Yeah, Bruce Carter. Just some like vet minimum that we brought in, and he just like immediately was better than Jordan Richards in like every conceivable way. And all the other random linebackers they tried to trot out there. So I mean that's basically linebacker free agency. Like there's just a dime a dozen of those kind of.
Trade for Jordan Richards?
Yeah, we did trade for Jordan Richards. Yeah.
Oh yeah, from the Patriots, we gave up like a 6th.
It was a 6th. Yeah, that's the 6th that we don't have. No wait, the 6th that we don't have this year was traded for. You guys remember?
Hold on. Oh, it's not Sombrello, is it?
It's not Sombrello. It was somebody we added this year early in the season.
Cyprian?
Oh yeah. Yes.
Cyprian.
Who never played who played in one game and like suffered a season-ending injury, and we gave up our 6th rounder for him.
Oh, it's okay. Who needs draft picks?
Mm-hmm.
We could always.
When you could have just played Sherrod Niesman, imagine.
We could have Sherrod Niesman parked in Dan Quinn's parking spot.
He could never.
He
Yeah.
was made an example of.
Mm-hmm.
We could also, with linebacker, just ignore it and pretend like it's not an issue the way we have been pass rusher the past few years. just if you close your eyes and don't look, then you can pretend everything's okay.
If no one gets hurt, we might be okay. If we just play 2 linebackers on every down, never play a Sam, and everyone stays healthy, we're golden. You know, we can get by.
I mean, crazier things have happened. We signed Vic Beasley for $13 million last year.
Maybe we'll bring back Rorlo.
Oh, we'll bring back Vic too. We'll use the Austin Hooper money to bring back Vic Beasley.
It was all a smokescreen to get Vic back. Yeah. Now back to the realm of like things that are hopefully going to happen. Actual draft prospects. So yeah, no. I mean, I know people want to talk about Combine because it just happened, so we'll get into some more Combine talk here. So we know Chase Young didn't work out. Caleb Von Chason didn't work out. A guy who did work out was AJ Epinesa, and he had, fairly mediocre Combine. But honestly, that was about, I think if you watched his tape, that was probably about what you should have been expecting. Like, he wasn't a guy that was going to win with, like, tremendous athleticism. He's like pretty bendy for his size, but that's really his only plus athletic trait. So, did Epinesa's numbers, like, scare you guys off? How do you feel about him now? Are we all team Chaisson at 16? Like, I don't know. How do you guys feel about that?
With Epinesa, I'm actually pretty happy that he didn't have an amazing Combine. And like you said, it wasn't really expected because now you know for a fact that he'll probably be there at 16, and maybe Chaisson isn't there at 16. So you have at least someone you can take right there, because you really need a pass rusher in this draft, and I'm definitely for drafting a pass rusher in the first round, and knowing Dan Quinn, he's going to do something that's not that, because he never does anything we expect in the first round. But if Epinesa is there at 16, I would absolutely give him a hard look, and I'm not discouraged by the Combine. He's not someone who's going to overwhelm you with his physical tools.
Yeah. And, like, to me, like, I think Epinesa is going to be, like, an 8+ sack a year guy. Like, probably even from year one. But that's not what gets you drafted in the first round in the minds of a lot of NFL teams. And, like, I don't know if Epinesa now is going to be the guy that Dan Quinn will draft. Like, I don't know if he meets Dan Quinn's thresholds. As dumb as that is, to just pass on a guy who can probably get you 8+ sacks reliably every year, can do a lot of stuff for you, is going to be just a standout against the run as well. I honestly don't know that Dan Quinn would even consider Epinesa at this point. But Eric, where do you stand on that note with Epinesa here?
Watching his tape, I never expected him to go into the Combine and test fairly well and open some eyes. But there were a couple things that happened during the Combine that kind of caught me off guard a little bit, and I was a little, slightly discouraged by it. The one I don't care about, well, I'm not going to say I don't care about the 40, but a 5.10 40 that's not.
It's 5.04.
The first one was a 5.10. The second one was a 5.04.
Right. You take the faster one.
Neither one of them are like. Neither one of them says first round. And
right.
I don't expect him. I did the scout report on him back in early January. I stated in there, I don't expect him to run fast. I don't expect him to be a speed guy. He's not going to be that. But I also didn't expect him to run a 5.10 in the 40. Like that's not good. But
it's not ideal.
The number that scared me the most was the split, the 10-yard split. And he ran a 1.81 in the 10-yard split, which was worse than Derek Brown, who outweighs him by almost 70 pounds. Derek Brown ran a 1.73 or something like that in the split, in the 10-yard split. That's really not good. Like that's a red flag. To me, that's a red flag. You're a pass rusher. Your get off should be, your get off may not be the quickest, but there's no reason why your get off is slower than a guy that plays nose tackle that outweighs you by almost 70 pounds. That's not good at all.
Wasn't that offensive tackle? Was he faster? That forgot what his name was.
Oh yeah, well Becton is like a freak of nature though, so don't compare anyone to Becton.
Yeah,
but...
that's another, yeah. I mean, and Becton outweighs him by like 100-something pounds. Even Becton ran a 40 that was similar.
Becton is the most athletic big man we've ever seen at the NFL Combine. So
right. Again, so that's the one thing that scared me. The 10-yard split scared me. The 3-cone wasn't Dan Quinn like.
Yeah, I mean it's 60th percentile. It's not terrible. But it's not great. You know,
it's not great. It's not something that you can point at and say, okay, that's what's going to get him drafted, because it wasn't. But if you throw on a tape, the guy was productive. The guy knows how to get after quarterbacks. His thing as far as a pass rusher is using his hands and using his strength, not beating a tackle around the edge, not having an array of moves. His thing is using his hands and just throwing guys left and right. Mm-hmm. So, again, I don't expect him to win with speed, but I also don't expect him to be that slow when it comes to getting off the snap. And that's, like Adnan said, he's going to be there at 16. I think Chason took a step further. I think Chason is probably the quote-unquote leader at 16 right now, if they were still there.
Yeah.
But if they were to take Epinesa, okay, I understand it. I get it. I want to see him improve in that aspect at least.
Yeah, and like other things to keep in mind about Epinesa, like he is running at a higher weight than just about every other edge in the class. 275. So it's not like he's running at defensive tackle weight, but he is running at more than most edges. He wins with his length. Like he had 34.5-inch arms, which is like 90th percentile arm length. That's nice to see. And his jumps were fine. Like his broad jump, I think, was 78th percentile. His vert was like 63. Like
his hoop drill was not good either. It
was
okay. Yeah. He stumbled at the end. So it to me, something like that shows balance, play balance. When it's time for him to turn the corner and get out to the quarterback, can he turn the corner and still maintain his rush? And when he did the hoop drill, he was, turning the corner around the hoop, but he was stumbling a little bit. And that, again, offensive tackle, you see a guy stumbling, next thing you know, it's a pancake for an offensive tackle because, he's halfway to the ground anyway. So those are little things I want to see him improve.
Yeah, and like if it's me, like you have him play at 280, which is what he played at Iowa, and you let him just bull rush guys. Like you let him use that strength and that length. Like don't ask him to turn the corner because that's not his game at all. So ask him to run through guys and to set that edge and rush it. Like honestly, like what you're hoping for if you draft Epinesa is that he's Michael Bennett, because that's Michael Bennett and Trey Flowers are like the two guys that had his size / athletic profile and were successful. Nobody else has been successful at that size and profile. So
they just drafted a guy similar to him last year.
Yes, but John Kaminsky is the opposite because John Kaminsky is a freak athlete. But he doesn't have any idea how to use his hands or do anything like that. So it's like they're the same kind. I get what you're saying. Like they are that kind of inside-outside hybrid player. But like one is like actually a great athlete and the other one's like pretty mediocre, and one of them is polished and one of them is totally not polished. So it's kind of like
for comparison's sake, Epinesa's game is literally the opposite of Vic Beasley's. Like
basically,
Vic Beasley is get off, speed rush, athletic. All he has is the speed rush, more speed rush. Tried to develop a spin move but couldn't. Really.
Yeah.
But I think the ideal scenario for me would be maybe trading back in the first round, and Epinesa will maybe even still be there, and you can possibly pick up a third rounder. But that's like a risk in of itself, especially if Chason is gone by the time 16 comes. You kind of, if you're really looking for the pass rusher, you have to take your guy. And also, I know there's no chance of Thomas Dimitrov trading back in the first round. He's never done it in
that would
the
be
first
nice,
round.
But yeah.
It would be nice.
But yeah, I also doubt it. I think he might trade back on day 2. That's what he did. He's done that before. But, yeah, not in the first round.
Knowing Dimitrov, he'll trade up and take Epinesa.
Yeah.
Epinesa would probably be there at 16. I think the number of teams that were interested in him in the first round might have dwindled a little bit after the combine. I don't think he's going to be highly coveted. I think it is a possibility that he's still on the board once the second round comes around.
Yeah.
But if there was a situation like Adnan pointed out just now, where they traded down maybe 5, 6, 7 spots, still get Epinesa and still pick up another second or third round pick, I'll be fine with that.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
And then you can possibly like look into the tight end. You know, you could draft a running back, more comfortably.
Yeah. Or you can package a couple of those second round picks and try to get back into the first if you wanted to.
You can. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. I mean, they have way too many needs and not enough money, so I feel like they have to get more draft picks. But knowing Dimitrov, it's probably more likely that they do what Eric said. So, there's Real Speed asks if we draft Epinesa, do we have 3 years for him to develop? If you draft Epinesa, you're drafting him because you know that he doesn't need development time. Like, he's going to come in and he's going to be probably the same guy in year 1 as he is in year 3. He's going to be a guy that's going to get you like 8 to 10 sacks. He's never going to be, Von Miller prime, like 15 plus sack seasons. I don't think that's ever going to be his game. But he's going to rack up tackles for loss. He's going to be a great run defender, and he's going to get you 8 to 10. And right now, the Falcons don't even have anybody that can get them 8 to 10. So I'm fine with that.
It depends on what you want.
Yeah.
There's no question that Chason has the higher ceiling.
Yeah.
There's no question. That's a clear advantage for him. But what do you want? Do you want a speedy, athletic guy that has room to get better in Chason, who's everybody wants to compare him to Beasley, but this guy is 260 almost. So this guy is probably just as fast as Beasley.
20 pounds
bigger already coming out of college. Yeah, he hasn't even hit a weight room yet. So do you want that, or do you want the polished guy that's racked up, 34, 35 and a half sacks or whatever, and is ready to play right now, but he's probably capped out as far as his potential in another 2 or 3 years. Like that's probably the best that we're going to get from him.
Yeah. To me, it's like if you want to win now and you want a guy that can come in and like get you 8 to 10 sacks, it's Epinesa. But if you're looking to try to hit a home run, it's Chason. And that's what Quinton Dimitrov's strategy has been every year. It's hit the home run, except for Lindstrom, which probably smart, in hindsight, because the offensive line was atrocious. But like,
they got a nice single on that one.
They got a nice single on that one. But I mean, if Chaison's there at 16, I would be shocked if they passed on him.
But it's like this will be so much easier to draft Epinesa, for example, if Tack McKinley was at a point where he was just out here getting double-digit sacks year in and year out. Then you can grab this polished, high-floor guy to pair with Tack. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And they're not even going to pick up Tack McKinley's 50-year option at this point. So he's possibly going to be going into his last year as an Atlanta Falcon. And Chason, with that high ceiling, you could get someone whom again, you can put that hope into that he'll be a home run in a few years.
Yeah. I know Shane Elliott's asking about, so why draft a player in the first round that you need to develop as opposed to drafting someone like Swift that can come in and improve the rushing game from day one? Well, that's kind of a loaded question because you're talking about two very different positions.
Why
like Pat
talking about drafting DeAndre Swift.
You know why, Eric.
Go Dogs.
You know why. Yeah. Okay, so that's I'm trying to actually answer his question.
No.
So like
No, man. No.
I'm not. First of all, like drafting a running back in the first round is rarely going to provide return on investment that's worth it. That's one thing. But like, let's extrapolate the question to be like, why would you draft a project over a high floor immediate contributor? And it's the reason that NFL teams do a lot of things. It's because potential is the siren's call. Upside is the siren's call. Like evaluators are all taught to scout for what a player can be, not for what he is right now. So that's why you always see these teams going after guys and favoring guys like Chason, these raw athletes that they think they can mold and turn into something, because their ceiling is, like Chason, if he were to hit his ceiling, would be like Von Miller, like prime Von Miller. So, that's everybody would want prime Von Miller on their football team, no question. Teams don't like drafting floor guys because they're like, well, best case scenario, this guy gets me this, and it's not flashy and it's boring and whatever. And
they can't sack the quarterback, and they can't protect the one that they have. You got to get a running back in the first.
Yeah, the other side of that coin is that with Dirk Cutter as the head coach, I don't even think DeAndre Swift can fix this run game, to be honest with you completely. I don't think DeAndre Swift is going to have nearly the impact that you think he will because of Dirk Cutter. Now, Kyle Shanahan would never take a running back in the first round because he doesn't need it, but in Kyle Shanahan's offense, you could see DeAndre Swift as one of the NFL's best rushers, no question. But in the Falcons' offense with Dirk Cutter, the running back is just not going to have an opportunity to provide return on investment. Now, maybe in future years they could, but again, you're also talking about relative value. Edge is super weak in this class, so if you don't get Chase Young or Chison or Epinesa and you wait and you miss out on those guys, there are some day two guys that are intriguing, but none of them are going to be comparable to these first round guys. Whereas at running back, you've got DeAndre Swift, Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, Cam Akers, and then at one point you had Travis Etienne too, and he went back to school. But I think all of those guys are a lot closer than people want to admit. In terms of their talent, they're all kind of different flavors of the same thing. Jonathan Taylor's crazy athlete that has ball control issues. Cam Akers doesn't have the production and kind of has spotty tape, but he played behind a terrible offensive line, and he's also a good athlete. J.K. Dobbins has unreal vision and production, but again, not as flashy of an athlete. And then you have Swift, who's probably the best all-around runner. So it's I don't think the difference between DeAndre Swift and, let's say, J.K. Dobbins or Jonathan Taylor is really that meaningful or big, whereas the difference between Kayvon Chason and Yetur Gross-Matos or Curtis Weaver or whatever, I think that's a much bigger drop-off in potential production. And I don't even hate Curtis Weaver or Yetur Gross-Matos.
I don't either.
But I think what you get with Chason is so much more valuable than the difference you get between DeAndre Swift and the next best guy. Do I think Chason will make a difference when he only did it for 1 year in college? Yes, because you're looking. This is how you always scout. You scout for what a player will be, not what he has been. And with Chason, it's true. He's trying to do something that very few edges have successfully done, which is to get drafted highly in the first round with mediocre production and actually build on his college production. That hasn't happened very often. Look at freaking Rashawn Gary. Now, we all could have told you not to draft Rashawn Gary, and we did many times. So that's on the Packers for making that mistake. But Chason peaked at the right time. Whereas Rashawn Gary had a bad senior season, in my opinion. He did not live up to his hype from 2017. He kind of had a down year. Chason had, I think, a better 2019 than his previous years. He played more. And
he tore his ACL 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. People say, oh, he has 3 seasons, only has 10 sacks. Well, one of those years, he wasn't a starter. The other one, he tore his ACL. And this one, they honestly made him play the run, all the time. That was just, that's just how it is. But
are we going to ignore the fact that Deion Jones really only had
That's exactly what I was going to say.
One solid season.
Exactly what I was going to say.
Are we going to ignore that? Who else? Keanu Neal really only had one.
Yeah, he never looked good in coverage, and he really drastically improved his coverage. Yeah.
So they've done this before. They've gambled a little bit before on potential, and it's worked. I can see why fans are a little weary of it because they all keep pointing back to Vic Beasley for some.
Well, we've been scarred, Eric. Okay, I understand why people point
From here on out, let's draft every 290-pound defensive end. Let's not even get any guys that can rush off the edge, so everybody can be satisfied.
The shadow of Vic Beasley looms large.
Well, that's what's so funny because I feel like people are now dunking on AJ Epinesa for having a bad combine. Oh yeah, this guy's not good. And then they're also the same people that are we can't draft Chason because he's Vic Beasley. It's what do you want? What do you want? Do you want?
They want to complain.
Big man, or do you want speed rusher?
During the season, we can't rush the quarterback. Well,
but it's we want strong, fast man. Okay, you want Chase Young? All right. Well, we should have lost more games then. So.
Yeah, and then when we were losing games, they're like, "Oh, why are we losing so many games? We have to win."
Like, there's the perfect prospect is so hard to find. That's why Chase Young is going to be the number 2 pick off the board.
A rare commodity.
Yes, like that does not come around very often. So like you have to
you also have to be picking the top 3 to
to realistically have a shot at that. Yeah. So like this like unicorn prospect that you're talking about does exist. His name's Chase Young, but like he's not in play for the Falcons. So like get that out of your head. So if that guy's not available, you have to do your best with what you have left, which at this point is Chison, because what are we looking at in free agency? The top guys are all getting tagged, okay? I could have told you that. So that means that second tier of guys that you were like, maybe we can sign them for like $10 million. Yeah, no, their price is going up. Okay, they're going up really high. Like maybe we can still look out on like a Mario Addison or something for like 8 to 10 million a year. But like that is the best we can hope for in free agency at this point.
Pass rushers always explode in free agency when it comes to their price tags. Always,
like
every
Vic Beasley could get $8+ million. Okay, like. Sound the alarm in free agency.
Get that comp pick, baby.
Get that sweet comp pick. But
they're not going to get Ngakoue.
No. Put that out of your head. Jaguars are going to tag him. Yeah.
Kill that dream. Yeah. They're not going to trade up for Chase Young.
They're not going to afford Clowney.
They're not going to trade up for Isaiah Simmons. Like, kill these dreams now, please. Like, just get them out of your head because they don't make sense. This team has bigger holes than to just. Someone literally said this week, Dimitrov, pulled the trade off for Julio, so he's going to do the same thing for Isaiah Simmons. Yeah. No, like I love Isaiah Simmons as a prospect. I absolutely love it. I love him. But if they trade up for Isaiah Simmons, I'm gonna throw my laptop and break my television because they're going to kill the team.
They're going to play him at edge, Eric.
It's going to cost so much to go up and get him. Like, why would you want to do that?
This team is also in a completely different position than it was back when the Julio Jones trade-up happened. Exactly. And back when Matt Ryan was coming off of his 3rd year and really needed another weapon other than Roddy White, who was also kind of getting up there in age at that point. It's like this team has too many holes, and you have to do a lot of patchwork to try and right this ship. And you have to do it now because Matt Ryan and Julio Jones are not getting any younger.
Yeah. So, like, I think for them, it's like you have to get a pass rusher to play across from tack. That's like you can't leave this draft / free agency period without at least one more edge. Like, you need 2, honestly, but at least one more edge guy. It's probably going to be Chison, and it's probably going to be someone like a Mario Addison in free agency. And that's probably it for free agency. Like
I think that's what they're probably going to do in free agency. I think there's a legitimate chance, and if I were a betting man, I think they're going to draft an edge rusher, and I think they're going to probably get a cheap bargain edge rusher, and then maybe add another linebacker or 2, maybe somehow. And then I think that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked.
That's free agency right there.
Well, yeah, no, I think exactly. Like, they're going to get a Mario Addison type, and they're probably going to have to pay like $8 million for him. It's not going to be cheap. That's going to be almost all their free agent money. Then they're going to get a couple of bargain guys, like probably, like you said, linebackers, I agree. Probably going to re-sign a few key guys. Like, they're probably going to bring Bleedy back. That's a great idea.
Kenyon
Barner, he was a good returner.
Jack Crawford.
Yeah, I mean, look, if Jack Crawford is willing to come back for an affordable deal, I have no problem with that. But definitely. I kind of doubt it. Yeah.
No, I think he's back. I think the 2.
That would be cool if they decided to bring him back. I have no problem with that. But if they do bring back Jack Crawford, they're probably not drafting a defensive tackle. I know a lot of people want them to draft a defensive tackle.
They need to.
Yeah.
They need to.
Yeah, we also have to allocate some money to give John Wetzel $1 million this year.
If we keep cutting him, it's going to start stacking up,
Only to be inactive.
Yeah.
But Deidre and Sanat aren't gonna suit up at once this year.
Yeah. So, yeah, the mystery that is Sanat, we're gonna save that for another show because we're running late. But that is another point of contention that we need to address. But like they do not have very much money. They're gonna get probably one guy. Like if they don't bring back Hooper, they're gonna get one guy. It's probably gonna be a pass rusher of some kind. And then they're probably going to hope for a pass rusher in the draft that they can make their 3rd guy this year, and then hopefully he can take over going forward. But what do you guys think about, like, I know a lot of people are fans of Kinlaw. What are your thoughts on the potential of Kinlaw at 16? If he, say Chai-Son's gone or Chai-Son's even there and Kinlaw's also there, which actually seems like less likely at this point. It seems like Kinlaw's getting drafted before 16. But what are your thoughts on pairing Kinlaw with Grady? Because I think a lot of people are into that.
I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind it. I think that's a solid third option at 16. If we had to list them, that guy Kinlaw is ferocious on the inside. He's one of those rare prospects that he can rush the passer from the interior. He can even line up at the 5-tech, in my opinion, a little bit. I would like to pair him next to Grady Jarrett. That'll be a nice move. But I think what would have to happen is, to me, I think Chai-Son and Epinesa would have to be gone, just because I feel edge rusher is the biggest need on this team.
Yeah.
And they had, like, if they were to miss out on those two, I wouldn't mind taking Kinlaw at 16. We saw how getting interior pressure hurt the Saints last year when they, in their first game.
Yeah.
So it's a real thing, and they would definitely be able to have it with Kinlaw and Grady Jarrett.
Yeah. I think if Kinlaw does make it to 16, it's probably because someone took Chai-Son higher. So I could definitely see Kinlaw being the pick if Chai-Son's not there. It's possible that a lot of people that probably shouldn't be there at 16 will be, because there's going to be 4 offensive tackles taken. Like, that's going to happen. This is a crazy offensive tackle class.
You need to run on quarterbacks too.
Yeah.
There's going to be 4 offensive tackles, 3 quarterbacks.
At least, yeah.
Isaiah Simmons.
Yep.
Chase Young.
Yep.
That's 10.
Yeah,
10.
and probably at least 1 wide receiver. I mean, probably 2.
I would say 3 at least.
3 wide receivers in the top 16?
Yeah, I would say
Judy, Ruggs.
Judy, and Ruggs are probably for sure bets.
So let's say we get 3 quarterbacks, 4 offensive tackles, Chase Young. That's 10, right?
Yeah.
So then if we have 3 wide receivers, that's 13. So there's only 3 more picks possible then. So yeah, I mean, and then Simmons, yeah. So I mean, we're talking about, yeah, it's entirely possible that
probably a corner make it.
Derek Brown.
Oh, Derek Brown, yeah.
So we're talking about like maybe 1 other pick that could be an edge.
I think the corner might sneak in the top 15.
Yeah. Oh, Okuda. Yeah.
Okuda, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I'm talking about another corner outside of Okuda. I think.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Keep an eye on Jacksonville. They may pull the trigger on one.
Yeah, especially now that they traded Bouye too. So they have literally nobody at corner now. So yeah. So yeah, exactly. So it's like it's looking somewhat strangely like there could be 1 edge taken in the top 15, and Chai-Son could be sitting there as the second edge off the board. And it's Kinlaw. I think it's probably more likely that Kinlaw's gone than Chai-Son, which is kind of strange to say, but I think that there's a good chance that they've got a defensive lineman that's worth the pick sitting there at 16, which it's rare that you can have that happen. Usually 16 you'll be on the outside looking in at those top defensive players, but it could happen this year just the way that the class is structured. And that's not even including the chance for like a Jordan Love to sneak into and be a 4th quarterback, which it could very well happen.
They
I mean,
loved his measurements.
Yeah, teams like him. I mean, now we're hearing the buzz that like Justin Herbert is liked more than Tua, but I guarantee you there's teams that like Tua too. It sounds like the Bucks are kind of non-committal on Jameis, so they're probably in the market for that quarterback. And obviously after free agency, we'll know for sure because we'll see where Teddy goes. We'll see if Brady goes. We'll see what happens with Rivers. But after the dust settles on those guys, I mean, we'll know for sure if people are getting quarterbacks in the top 10.
And teams always outsmart themselves just by thinking that, with these GMs thinking they're the smartest people in the room. So teams will overthink stuff all the time. That's why the draft is always so unpredictable.
Yeah,
it's fatigue from so many months of just draft talk and scouting and analysis where teams just talk themselves into something they should not be talking themselves into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's like if you see, obviously Burrow's going number 1. Now the buzz is that Washington is like trying to hype up them taking a quarterback at 2, which is nonsense. But they're hyping it up to try to get a trade. So, like, say you get a trade up to 2 for a quarterback.
They're trying to get all 3 of the first rounders from Miami.
Right.
That's the rumor started.
So, like, if that happens, then, like, if quarterbacks go 1 and 2, we're getting 4 quarterbacks in the top 15. Like, because everyone's gonna panic. The second that happens, it'll be like, oh my God! All right, we have to move up. Like,
as soon as Mekhi Becton is off the board, then there goes Wills, then there goes Andrew Thomas, and then there goes Tristan Wirfs, and
yeah.
Every year,
Yeah.
it's exactly like that. Everyone panics, and one position gets over. Last year it was an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Near the end of the first round, that's where we got McGarry.
Did you guys?
That's why the front office was smart for taking Lynchman, because a lot of teams after them wanted Lynchman, especially Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's how they traded up and got McGarry, but they could have stayed where they were at the second round.
And
wow.
There's a pretty sizable chance that we'll get there at 16. Kinlaw, Epinesa, and Chason, if all of them are there, there's a chance that the Falcons just don't get any of them.
Oh yeah, they're gonna draft Bryson Hopkins, tight end. We got to get that Austin Hooper replacement.
No, there is a good chance. Knowing Dan Quinn, like, he'll just go completely off the rails.
Yeah, it's gonna be something weird, like Jeremy Chin or something. Like
Kristen Fulton out of LSU, he'll go corner.
Wow.
And it fills our LSU quota.
Yeah.
I mean, so does Chase on, but
yeah. But
you can't let the people know what your next move is going to be.
That's true. You can't. And, like, Dimitrov's figured out how to get out of every closet in Flowery Branch, so we're going to have to come up with a new strategy.
I'm seriously going to write an article about that. Just that parody of them locking Dimitrov in the broom closet every single draft.
Yep. Oh, did you guys hear that new rumor about New York at 4? They want to trade down and take Derek Brown. That was That was my favorite rumor of the combine.
Why?
Because it's Dave Gettleman. He's obsessed with defensive tackles. If he could put 4 defensive tackles on the line, he would.
You can't rush the passer either, man. Like, you have 20 defensive tackles already, and
the man traded for Leonard Williams, took Dexter Lawrence at 17. He can never have too many. He can never have too many defensive tackles. This is the new meta, okay?
You don't have a right tackle. Your offensive line is not great.
Eric, I'm not saying it's smart. Okay, I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm saying this is peak Gettleman.
You don't have a star receiver. You don't have a lead receiver right now. Who's
right? They don't have a quarterback either. That's not going to stop them. I'm just saying, like, this is peak Gettleman. I just need this to happen because, like, Dave Gettleman is a national treasure. As long as he's not coaching my football team or controlling my team, I just want to watch the world burn when they take another defensive tackle. So, oh yeah, he's terrible. But that would just make my whole combine if we saw the Giants trade back and take Derek Brown. Like, that would be the cherry on top of a great draft. Just for the chaos, but
I love the chaos.
Yeah, I do love the
Remember
chaos.
last year, the Raiders, who did they take it for?
Cleveland Farrell?
Yeah, Cleveland Farrell. That was just an absolute shock.
And he got outplayed by Max Crosby.
Yeah, 4th rounder, man. There we go. All right, well, we got to get out of here. We've been going for 1 hour and 20 minutes. Great 100th episode. Lots of draft takes. I know that's what you guys wanted anyway. It's been a fun 100 episodes. We're going to hopefully be here for 100 more. It's been a lot of fun. Appreciate all my co-hosts for sticking around this long. 100 episodes is a long time. So,
I didn't. Wow, 100 episodes.
Yep. So, it's crazy that it's been around this long. We appreciate all you guys for sticking around too. We're gonna be here for the long haul. We'll continue doing the show. We'll be back. I guess I'll be skiing in 2 weeks. Humble brag. So not gonna be 2 weeks, but it'll be a 3rd week. So a little bit of a delay, but yes, we'll be back before the draft for sure. Like, it'll be late March-ish.
That's almost 2 months, man. I'm hoping we're back.
No, that's what I'm saying. Well, I guess I was going to say it's going to be after free agency, but, like, far before the draft. So, I mean, if you guys want to do the show, I'll set you up and you can, like, go and do your own thing. That's fine. But, yeah, you could.
Like
it's not that hard. It's not that hard. But, yeah.
Well, because not this Monday, obviously, but next Monday is legal tampering,
Right.
which is basically the start of the agency.
Yeah. So you guys might have, license to totally try to do a show without me. So, I could probably try to set you up with that. But that's off-screen chatter there. We do appreciate you guys sticking around. That's behind the scenes, a little peek behind the curtain there. But we appreciate you guys for sticking around. Before we get out of here, I want to thank my guests. First off, Evan Birchfield, at Evan Birchfield on Twitter. Evan, anything you're working on you want to plug?
No, not off the top of my head. Look out for John Wetzel getting cut, and I'll have that up there once that happens eventually.
Poor guy.
Again.
Yep. Yeah, guys.
Oh, and I might be going to I for those that don't know, I live in Central Florida, and that's where Ricardo Allen's from, Daytona Beach, and he's having a camp this weekend, and I'm going to it. So
cool.
Hoping to speak to him.
Yeah, very cool. Definitely look for that, guys. Also, a reminder, if you don't mind throwing us a like to the show, that helps other people find us. So we appreciate that. If you don't mind hitting that little like button. And if you're not already subscribed, I don't know what you're doing with your life, but you should be subscribed, because we won't spam you. And then you don't have to check Twitter to know when the next show is going to be. It'll just pop up for you. So very nice. Other co-hosts this evening, move on to Eric Robinson, at _Eric_Robinson on the Twitters. Eric, anything you're working on now you want to plug?
Yeah. I'm in the middle of putting together a scout report for Benjamin, running back out of Arizona State. And I'm also putting together my next mock draft as well. So be on the lookout. Very
cool. Check out that mock draft, guys. We're doing dueling mock drafts this week, apparently. So
Kevin beat me.
It's Kevin okay. Yeah, no, I think everybody got all their vitriol out on mine, so you should be good now.
There is enough vitriol to go around.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be plenty by the time Saturday or whenever it comes around. But Friday, yeah. Also with us tonight, Adnan Ikic, at Say Which Way on Twitter. Adnan, anything you're working on you want to plug?
Yes. Every week I have a series going, counting down the Falcons' 5 best moments from this past year. There's been a lot worse moments than good, but we're looking at the 5 best moments. So every week a new one is going. So it was 5-4. This coming Friday is moment number 3. Also check out my franchise tag article, which I wrote 2-3 years ago, but I keep updating year after year with the new numbers and the new figures. That's basically a comprehensive look at everything that has to do with the franchise tag. And it's not any of our articles, but check out the new podcast where DW talks with Dave Choate about his beginnings, creating the Falcoholic, his life as a Falcons fan. DW will be going through with each of us over the course of the next few months, and just having a full podcast episode, just interviewing each writer. So keep a lookout for that.
Yeah, that'll be very cool. Dave's is really good, so definitely check that out if you're interested. And then, guys, I'm Kevin Knight, at Falcoholic Kevin on Twitter. Like I said, my mock draft came out, I think it was yesterday. So if you want to get your vitriol in that comment thread, there's plenty of, I think there's 120 comments you can reply to. So, go in there and add it to the pile, or just read it and enjoy it, which is fine too. But that's up there for your consumption. Again, guys, thank you for tuning in. Like I said, we'll be back 2 to 3 weeks, depending on when we get it all sorted out. But we'll got much more off-season content for you. And in the meantime, you can always check out thefalcoholic.com to get you your Falcons fix in these trying times. So until next time, guys, I'm Kevin, signing off for Eric, Adnan, and Evan. Have a great night, guys. We will see you in a couple weeks.